Chapter 9, A Plastic Marriage. We were now going on 4 years of employment with Jim. God truly was blessing me in this business. I won paid vacations, sales contests, and was one of the top salespeople in the country. Corporate had termed the dealership as a blossoming success, and everybody was happy, so it seemed. The truth was, I was absolutely miserable in my marriage. My new drug was money and success. I felt like I had so much to prove to my family and myself. Money was the tool, and I became the classic workaholic. I drowned out reality with work. I would average 3 sales calls a day and easily close 2 out of the 3. I worked 6 days a week. I had also gone back to weed and was smoking a bag of pot every day. That is an average of about 8 joints a day, and at the time a cost of $20. So much of the job was socializing and simply listening and talking to people. The customers already knew they wanted my product. All I had to do was go in their homes, be funny, bubbly, and nice, and I would get the sale. Getting stoned made the job one big party. It also kept me in my own happy bubble, and I didn't have to deal with reality. I would usually spend up to 2 hours with my customers. Many of them would open up to me as if they had known me all their lives. I started putting people on prayer lists and enlisting massive intercession from all that I would meet. I would then, at the time, actually handwrite the prayer requests, make copies, and send them to 12 different ministries monthly. This is when God was teaching me about intercession. In simple terms, the more people you get praying about the same thing, the more results you will see. The more people that tell the devil in his demonic hordes where to go, back to the pit of hell, the better the results. Harold's work routine was he might run 1 sales call a day, if that. He would try to get in and get out of the homes as quickly as possible. He had much more important things to do back home. For example, he would read about 5 books at one time. He would work crossword puzzles and stayed glued to the television with everything from sports to Leave It to Beaver. I quit even trying to tell him about my day when I would fly home at about 10 p.m. from my sales call. The man never even suspected that I was high on pot. He was clueless. I wanted to tell him about my day and my sales, and he would just sit there with the remote control and tune me out. He lived in his own little world, and so did I. Any respect that I once had for him was down the tubes. It was a classic case of 2 dysfunctional people enabling each other. He made very little money, and he had no incentive to work hard because I was the breadwinner. I enjoyed that at the time, being a power tripper, and provided a very good lifestyle for both of us. I wore the pants in the family, and he went along for the ride. I realize in hindsight that my home life was miserable, and I would find much joy and satisfaction in visiting and making friends with my customers. I did not enjoy going home to Harold sitting on his rear end in front of the television. The irony of all this is that everyone around us knew what was going on except us. I was often referred to as his daughter when we were at restaurants. When people realized we were married, they would roll their eyes. One person looked at me and pointed and said, "You and him?" I just looked at her in despair and felt like saying, yes, but I was on a lot of drugs. By the time we had found a church very close to the office and started attending regularly, It was the only time that I ever felt close to Harold, was when we were in church. I loved our pastor. He was a fireball from the South, and he sounded like Gomer Pyle. I nicknamed him Gomer. When he was operating under the power of the Holy Spirit, his personality changed. He preached the word in power and in might. He saw through our very bizarre relationship, but didn't know how to fix it. We were also the biggest givers in the church. Harold had become the accountant, which was a job that he excelled in. He was a great bookkeeper, and everybody trusted him, including me.